We are Squawking Dead, a podcast pulverizing episodes beyond the Walking Dead universe. I'm your host, David Camp. Sometimes I give you news. Sometimes I make you laugh. But most times, we go deep. I'm your host, David Cameo, and I'm joined by Cosmom09, Rachel Burt, Sharon, the aka Blazy Gardner, and Bridget, ko-fi.com/punkybrewster. That's PUNKYBRUISETER. And we're here to talk about The Last of Us' 7th episode of its first inaugural season, titled Left Behind. And Lois is definitely not left behind. She was waiting for us for five minutes, and she's going to read us the riot act right now. She's here. She says, hello, everyone. Thomas says, yo, the puns don't start till I walk in. Damn right.
You didn't say it right.
What?
The puns don't start till I walk in.
Is that a thing? What is that?
It's a song.
Don't stop. Come on, man. It's Kesha.
Is it?
Oh.
I couldn't remember who it was, but yeah, I know the song.
Sorry.
Party don't stop.
I didn't know it either, Dave.
I'm not aware of this. See, it's funny how like Sharon and I are on this side of the cube, and you guys are on that side of the cube. I have to mirror. Anyway, but hi everybody. No, you're not late. We just got on right now, Takira. So we are live with you right now, and yes, we were talking about this episode of The Last of Us. And
Are you surprised?
well, we're not that bad. We've been keeping it pretty tight. This is probably the latest we've been since we've gone live. And you know what? I'm kind of surprised at how well these episodes have turned out, considering the fact that we've been going live, and we haven't gone live that much until, I have to say, since I think season 10 of The Walking Dead, the early episodes, we kind of just changed our format around them because we did a Ko-fi account, and then we decided to have people on with us or in the chat, in the real-time chat, and do pre-recorded episodes to try to increase the quality, I guess. And we were still using Zoom back then, by the way. Case in point, like I was listening to one of our old episodes, and I'm like, this show is great.
And it kills him. It just kills him.
Oh, Zoom is awful. I can never go back, baby. Oh, hey, Zainab. She got my invite. I invited her to tonight's.
Hello.
Thank you, Zainab. She says the quality is amazing. I appreciate that. It's a 1080p stream. We've come a long way since using Zoom and.
Yes, you can tell we're not using Zoom because the quality is decent.
The quality is very decent. So, okay, now she's being very careful with the metal straw. The quality is very decent, and then she does this.
Click, 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 click.
Clankety clank.
We could do fun stuff live that's never going to be in the audio podcast. I'm sorry, audio podcast listeners, when you eventually get around to getting this episode. But anyway, Mitchell, hey, what's up, buddy? I've never been so grateful.
Baby.
I'm sorry.
What's up, Mitchell?
Yeah, Takira says I've never been so grateful for notifications. I had so much going on today that I almost missed this. Yay! And Thomas is the quality.
It's like Jasmine's here.
Jasmine?
It's
no
like
way.
Jasmine's here.
I'm being so loud.
I muted so I could move my heater away from me because I didn't want it to sound loud.
Yes, that's right. The pressure's looming. Maybe the editing session won't take 6 days. Anyway, so let's talk about this episode. If you missed our reaction live stream, well, where were you? You just watched the episode on HBO on Sunday nights and didn't hop onto our live stream reaction that we've been shortening for the sake of our sanity. The last two reactions were roughly about a half an hour each. We try to keep it tight. We try to keep it focused on you and your thoughts and your insights so that we can react to those mostly. And we had some fun. I think the last two, because we kept it tight, were pretty fun and funny and light and not as heavy as these breakdowns. So I like it. So no impressions. If you want impressions, go to the last video. Make like a tree and get the hell out of here. Or you could stay. It's fine. We'll see what we can do. But
My impressions don't matter because I wasn't there.
no. So let's. Which that was sad because you were ready actually on Sunday night to be able to join us, and it's like, but wait, I have no way to watch it. Which gave me an idea because I love you.
Wait,
so.
I have a.
Oh, go ahead.
I actually have a question.
Sure.
And I should have asked this very early on Sunday. But does HBO Max like
Yes.
post the episode right at 9?
But you can watch it.
Fuck
You,
me.
okay.
you can watch it
I could've
live on
watched
HBO Max too.
I have
Wait,
HBO Max.
how?
Oh,
I have
boy.
HBO Max through Amazon. So and Amazon doesn't. Well, at least the last couple times they post the episode, but you can't watch it. You have to watch the live stream.
Yeah, it's
I
always
just
it's always
have HBO
preferable.
Max.
Yeah, that's what I have too. And if you go to Last of Us like right at 9, it just shows up.
Yeah,
All
but
right, so epic fail. I 100% could have been there.
but like with anything, so HBO Max has it, AMC has it. If you do have AMC Plus, and if you do have HBO Max, you do have the live channel, which you should be using anyway, because that's what people see on the outside world right when it premieres. So
Outside world.
it's better because you don't deal with some of the streaming issues that we've been having to. Some like Charity or Bridget, I think you said
No,
something
it was
about
me.
Yeah, you said it wasn't working. You couldn't even log on or something.
It's because I got on at 9:01. It was my mistake.
Yeah, when I go, I watch it. We watch it live on through our TV, and I go on like half an hour early, and have it playing because otherwise
I
there's
usually
no
go
way
on
you
like
can get
5
on.
minutes early to make sure that it shows up right away and I can click on it.
So
Because
there's, like, a
everybody is streaming it.
section in HBO Max?
Yeah.
Or-
Apparently, yes.
Oh,
Should I show everybody what it looks like?
Excuse
I
me.
mean,
No. Oh my
at
goodness.
least
I'm so
me
sorry.
later.
Yeah,
'cause-
we'll check you out. But this gave me an idea actually about how.
Haha, Thomas, it wasn't me this time. Sorry, Thomas was laughing at me saying I had streaming issues. I was like, wasn't me.
Oh, thank
It
you.
was
Zainab,
me.
by the
And
way.
I have
Not
good
this-
internet.
Did you just backhandedly say Charity has terrible?
No, because he always
I
says
do
that
have
North
good
Carolina internet is bad, and I also live in North Carolina.
Yeah. No, I'm kidding. I'm
The-
kidding. I'm starting shit.
The North Carolina out in the sticks in the mountains internet is bad.
Yeah, it's like I'm out in the sticks and not in the Piedmont. In the
Oh, you just
Piedmont.
gave
region.
away your
That's the-
location.
That's the flat area for people who don't know what that is.
I don't know what that is. Thanks. Doesn't everybody know? That's like saying
I didn't.
I don't know, something in Brooklyn. Whatever. Who cares? Yeah, I live in Sheepshead Bay. Oh, like New Yorkers know what that means. I don't live in Sheepshead Bay
Yeah, I
anymore.
don't
I
know
just
I've
what that
heard
tricked
those
you.
words.
So
Heard those words. Yeah, I've heard sheep and head and bay as words. Yeah.
No, I guess I've heard them all together.
actually, it's quite this terrifying fish. It's a sheep's head is an actual fish that has teeth.
This is not getting better.
Anyway, so as far as this episode goes, there was one thing. Oh yeah, so I had an idea actually. I thought maybe we could do a live watch of the episode via like Zoom, so that we can all show up on the reaction episode, and we can open that up to others in our community, our Ko-fi and Patreon. So if you stay tuned, maybe we can try that out next week for episode 8. And if you are a member of our Ko-fi or Patreon, which is ko-fi.com/squawkingdead or patreon.com/squawkingdead, just follow for now, and until we post the details for our probably going to have to be a Whispers and Survivors tier member only perk. So Takira, you're in. I mean, not you're in, but you are in that membership.
You're in.
We make the distinction. Yeah, you could join us. So we're gonna try that out for the next weekend.
And the puns begin.
Yeah.
That's what I was just thinking. I'm like, here we go.
Oh, so I have one for you. So what? Hold on a second. I wrote this one down. Hey, Rachel. What? Wait. Hold on a second. I have to bring it up. I'm sorry.
That's hilarious.
So, no, I didn't write it down. What?
Fail. Epic fail.
What do you call an alligator in a vest?
An investigator. Thank you.
Ba-boom! That was the one.
Oh!
Thanks, Jeremy. You took my cue. Because I was like, they didn't finish it. And I was like, well, why did the alligator wear a vest? And then I looked it up for Rachel. So,
Well,
I
I
You
want
know-
to know.
Do you know that's one of the mysteries they never solved on Game of Thrones was the conclusion to the joke about the prostitute and the donkey and the honeycomb that Tyrion starts to tell and then he never finishes.
Is it not a real joke?
I think that's the joke, isn't it? Because, like, you kind of have to, figure it
It's
out.
not a real joke. No.
It's like, what is it? what was it? It was the Big Lebowski. Which one was the joke that had a beginning and an end, but no middle? Something like
What?
damn near killed her. Rector damn near killed her. Something like that. I forget what it's called. Rectum. Damn near.
Rector. Damn near killed her.
Anyway, never mind. If anybody knows, let me know. So, okay. So, as far as this episode goes, continuing the theme of what Sharondy said in our reaction stream on Sunday night, right after the episode, which you should attend because it's great. I noticed a lot more of the presence of the blue and red makes purple analogy. But then when you expand that, I saw basically two sides of the same coin in the different iterations of those, not extremes necessarily, but just two sides, not like black and white, good and evil, but more like, well, there's this theory, this thought, and then there's this thought. In the last episode, we had, well, some people wanted to own everything, which is an extreme, which is not really true. And some people wanted people to own nothing, which is also kind of an extreme, but here you go. But it's not necessarily good or bad. Like, they both can be taken to mean positive or negative things. It's just a different way of thinking, right? So you've got FEDRA and you've got the Fireflies in this episode heavily, volleying or vying for these kids' support. And the one thing that I kind of noticed was, is nobody going to talk about how both the Fireflies and FEDRA employ children at a young age as soldiers? Is nobody going to talk about this? But it makes sense, right? Because if you get them while they're young and this is the only world they know, and you have them adopt a cause from their forebears, like, they don't know the world before. They don't.
It's called indoctrination.
Right. But it's smart and yet also kind of like, what the fuck? It's just terrifying.
I mean, evil but smart. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Because all they know is this world, and if you convince them to adopt something or an idea or fight for the world before, something they have no idea about. And it really hit me when I know I jokingly talked about how, what the hell are these girls doing jumping from roofs to roofs? Like, this is terrifying. But then you realize that's their world. That's what they do for fun. That's what kids do. They're not afraid of death. They don't know what it is. They're looking at the dead guy falling through the floor, and Ellie starts bursting into laughter because that's their life. And so it's so interesting to see how it makes sense that they would take advantage of these kids that have nothing to do with the world before. Yeah, I'll read it. Don't worry. And just use them as fodder for something they have no idea about. And it's evident because it's not like Ellie wants to be a part of FEDRA this way or that, or Riley part of the Fireflies this way or that. But at least as far as Riley goes, they made her feel like she belonged, as FEDRA didn't. And as far as Ellie goes, Captain Kwong had a really good sell about just making her feel like she was special or important or relevant, something that maybe she never felt before. So does anybody want to continue that theme of like the different sides and how they play with each other and they make the color purple basically throughout this episode? Because Riley's wearing blue and Ellie's wearing red for the most part too. I noticed that as well.
That would be why there was purple around Victoria's Secret.
Somebody making not babies. But anyway.
I guess I was more focused on Riley's green headband.
And
That
the
was the
green
color I saw.
walls too, as they entered the mall. Something else. I just didn't know what that meant too.
I was fixated on it, like being it looked like it used to be a T-shirt, and then someone tore it up and wrapped it around her hair, and I don't. That's all I.
It's one of those things.
That's
it's
what I
one
got,
of those
folks.
things
Good night.
from Survivor. Do you remember they used to sell those things from what the hell?
Oh, they're like the.
Oh, like the bandos or whatever.
I have one of those too. They're like
They have like a very
balaclava.
specific name.
Yeah, I forget what they're
no,
called.
they had like a specific name for the Survivor ones. It was a weird name. I don't.
But you can make them into like all these
Anyway.
different things, like balaclavas and like
Yeah.
neck wraps and then head wraps and stuff like that. I have one of those
Wasn't
too.
it a bando? I thought they were called bandos.
Maybe it might as well be. Let's read some more comments in the meantime.
I'm googling it. You read those comments.
Yeah, Zainab says you should be like a watch party or something. Yeah, it's basically what we do. And shocking, Sharon has streaming issues. Thomas says. Takira says, Rachel, we always have the same hoodie on. Lois says, ooh, how cool. Well, you're cool, Lois. Thomas says, I'm out. Well, because in case you missed it, the reaction video, Thomas was all aghast at how terrible this episode was too, by the way. Mitchell says, I have to save some money, so I can't join a membership again. Oh, I'm sorry, Mitchell. But that's okay. We know you love us. In fact, you know how much I know you love us? I got your birthday card today. Do, 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 do. And he says, I says, your day should be happy. Your day should be fun. And then he writes a note and he says, Dave, wishing, this is what the card says. If wishing can do it, consider it done. Happy birthday. Have a great day. And Mitchell, I'm going to read your card out because I love you. And you probably hate me for doing this, but he says, Dave, happy birthday. Hope you have a great day. You deserve it. I'm glad I'm able to call you friend. I also like how you accepted me into the friend group. Squawking Dead is awesome. Keep up the great work. I like how I'm part of it. Yeah, you're our producer in my own way. Happy birthday once again. Your friend, Mitchell. Thank you, Mitchell. I really, really thank you very much for this. It was really meant a lot. And I was having like a wearing day and then like get this card. Why I finally checked the mail after a week and a half because I'm in the box. Remember, I'm in the box, guys. And she brings a card and it just made my day. And Lois says, me too, Thomas. I'm out in the Kofi thing. Thomas says. Takira says, I just got a new job, so I'm getting the big membership. Oh, no. Will we have Takira on here next time? Spooky. I don't know why I went that way, but I guess
Why is it spooky?
the ghetto, the bootleg Spirit Halloween shop really got me in this episode. Lois says, that's not real life shit. That's real life shit. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I know Victoria's Secret, Thomas says. It was made up by a dude. Well, yeah, exactly. Funny note, the last message I accidentally texted to Jenna because we were conversing at the same time. Whoops.
Son of a bitch.
I don't think she minded. She'd be like, oh, that Thomas, he's such a rapscallion. That's a word she might use.
There we go.
Okay, so let's get into it, man.
Well, what you were talking about earlier about the red and the blue, I mean, it's one of the things we've always said about Walking Dead is that nobody is black and white. You know, it's all gray.
Yeah.
So I mean, I mean, I see what you were saying, but I think that's kind of a theme in most of the shows that people aren't black and white. We're all gray. We all have, different. Anyway, none of us are black and white. We all have gray areas.
Right. But what I like about this show is that it doesn't pretend like the extremes don't exist. Right? Or not even that the extremes are that people latch onto a tribe or a side or an idea of thought. And the fact that the Fireflies and FEDRA persist, they're both kind of in their own way keeping this thing together. This thing, meaning the old ways of life. Now you guys have ADHD and thinking of Bridget Calicanales. Netflix. Anyway, but the point is that you see these kids and they don't really care. They're like, okay, do I belong here? Okay, nice. You're going to feed me? Cool. Let's do that thing. They don't care. And it's just these old people from the old world they just can't let go. They can't realize that everything fell and try something new or develop something like a third option. What is the third option? No, let's hold on to the system as it was. I'm not saying this way is good or this way is bad. It's just these kids don't know what that world is except for through picture books and ideas or what people talked about in the old world. But they have a different experience.
We talked about something like that in one of the Walking Dead episodes. We talked about why when civilizations fall, everything always reverts back to the same form of civilization. Like there's nothing, we don't do different. We don't try something different. It's always back to the same hierarchy in the same type of civilization. We talked about, I don't remember the Walking Dead episode, but it was something to do with the Commonwealth.
Oh yeah, that's right. We always seem to fall into our old tracks, right? Because it's what we're used to. It's what has classically worked throughout history.
We were talking about why when the survivors of the Walking Dead apocalypse were left with the opportunity to try something different, we went back to something like the Commonwealth.
Right.
You know, or yeah, we didn't try a different type of society.
Right. And here it doesn't. I don't know. I'm not going to say here it doesn't seem to work. But I think they chose like they're using it as a backdrop for what Ellie does from here on forward, and kind of like what she does at the end of this episode. She realizes that Riley's not going to be the one to make the move, right? And so she does, and apologizes, and Riley goes, "You don't have to be sorry." And then the thing she says right after, where she says, don't, well, she actually says it first. She says, "Don't go." And it was enough for Riley to go, "I won't." This is like right before the chaos started happening. And
I think Riley was making moves all night. They were just very subtle, and Ellie wasn't quite picking up on them.
Oh no. She was
Riley leaning on her in the photo booth, and all the little Ellie just wasn't quite picking up on all. I was just imagining you in this, ha 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 ha. How funny.
yeah.
How awkward. I often imagine my friends in their underwear.
All right. Yeah.
In a strappy, lacy number.
I always tell the
The
guys,
thongiest of thongs.
I'm just trying to imagine you guys in a Speedo all the time.
These crotchless panties.
But that doesn't even matter. At some point, what gets Ellie pissed off, like at several points during their night, like after the carousel, after the video games, is that, like, why won't you tell me that you love me? I feel like that's why she goes, oh, I gotta go home. Oh, I gotta do the thing. I feel like she's like, why won't you tell me? Even like,
I don't think it's that, Dave. That wasn't my understanding of it. I think it's more like, I am mad at myself. Like, why did I let myself feel this way about you? You clearly don't feel the same way.
Okay, yeah.
That's what it is. It's like the disappointment of like, I've put myself in an awkward position. I fell in love with my best friend. Like, I don't want to deal with this right now. She doesn't like me. I just want to leave. I just want to go home.
I feel like she also says at one point, like, why won't, I forget what the exact words are, but like, and what else? She says something to the effect of what else, or is that it? Basically. Like, as if, like, at some point she picks up the vibe and is like, is that all you came to say is goodbye? And Riley's like, that's it. And
it's during their conversation. It's during their conversation about like, I'm leaving. And she's like, then why did you do this? Why did you do all of this?
Right. And she's like waiting for that answer. She's waiting for that specific answer. And when she doesn't get it, she's like, fuck this. You did all this for nothing.
I didn't see it as that.
I
didn't see it as that. I didn't see it as that.
I saw it more as I'm wasting my time and putting myself in FEDRA at risk being here for something that's not. I mean, yeah, this is great.
Also,
this is fun and cool, but
yeah,
it's
not going the way I wanted to.
It's not going the way I wanted to, and I'm going to get in trouble for this, and it's going to ruin my life. So I need to go.
Oh, I think so
Unless
too.
I have a reason to stay.
That's what it is. Unless you give me the reason to stay. Right. That's what I was looking for. And I felt like that reason was like, dude, you into me? Also, like, why won't you say that you're doing all this because you like me?
Well, she wanted that. Yeah. But I think, especially with a situation like that, you gotta remember, like, we all have to remember, like, way back, right? To when we were like teens.
Way back.
Way back to when we were teens. And you liked someone, but you weren't sure if they liked you. You had to play that careful game of like, I can't make my feelings too known. How far can I push this? How much can I flirt to see if they get it? And if they don't respond, is it because they don't get it, or is it because they aren't interested? And it's all of that plus your hormones.
Yeah. No, and I get that. I definitely do get that. Well, and the stakes being
because you don't know anything,
right?
You don't fucking know anything.
Yeah, I'm drunk.
So
and
everything
I don't know
is a
anything.
question.
It's exhausting.
Hell, I'm an adult and I still feel that way sometimes. So
well, and so going back to her reaction, it's totally like legit. It's all legit. she like storms away. She's like, oh. Then she gets right past the door where the Transformers are, and this is more of my question is like, why do you think she goes back? Because at first I thought she was just coming back to pick up the book, but then like I put myself in my teenager shoes and said, well, I can't leave it like that. I just had my outburst. I'm gonna go back and just say proper goodbye. Do you think it was the book, or it was because she didn't want to leave it like that?
I think it's I don't want to leave it like that under the guise of I am gonna go get the book. And do you know what I mean? Like
you're embracing a true teenage self. Okay.
Because I've done this, Dave. I've done the dramatic. You think I don't still do the dramatic walkout? I do, because I'm a child.
That's good.
So I've done the dramatic. I've done the dramatic walkout, and then I've found a reason to come back. You know, and it's like it's so stupid, but like that's what that was.
Never a dull moment.
I'm coming back. I need my book.
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, I just did that like 2 or 3 days ago. No. So I'm like, it's that shit.
¿Por qué no? Sharandi.
Fine. I'll fucking go do it myself. No, fuck you.
You're great.
Sorry, I left my keys here.
I didn't need anything else but the keys. For the audio.
Speaking of the keys.
Yeah.
Segue.
Yep.
The keychain on
Captain
Kong's keys is the Naughty Dog logo, which is of course they do the game.
They make the game.
Aye.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. By the way, Thomas says the last time Dave and I walked by Frederick of Hollywood, I was totally picturing him. And
awkward.
Thomas. And is that Dave's teenager voice? We'll get there. Lois says, did you notice most of the lights were out when she goes back? Yeah, at least in the yeah.
In the section where the runner was, there it was all dark back in there. The lights weren't on back there.
Yeah, but Lois is referring to when she comes back into the mall. But I think when they were looking at the mall, from where they were when you first get into that room, it looks like they're on a balcony, but when she's coming out, it looks like she's on the ground floor. So maybe some stairs or something like that. And those shops the lights were out or something like that. I don't know. But that's a good eye, Lois, anyway. I usually go back for my lube. Yeah, you should. But it's like for himself. So he comes back. I'm not mad at you. Looks down. I just came back for my lube. Oh, I could never be mad at you. He looks down again. I could never be mad at you. Anyway, sorry.
Why is this happening?
I made a fictional scene about Thomas and his pee-pee. Anyway, so I love you, Thomas. Anyway, so
why?
So talking about so let's go back to the mall because if you want to go more Easter eggs, that whole Macho Nacho franchise of Mexican taco shops is from the what is it called? Fuck, I always forget the name of this. Uncharted video game, which is also I think by Naughty Dog as well.
Yeah, it's one of their games too.
Mm-hmm. So I thought that was kind of.
It's also I think it's also featured somehow in the Raja's arcade, but it's Raja's it's something else in a foreign port or something in Uncharted.
Okay.
But it's something else that's Raja's because I saw something about it earlier.
Mm-hmm. Which, by the way, when I was doing research for that one specific thing, there were many people who opined on the fact that the Uncharted series takes place in the same universe as The Last of Us too. So out there is a Nathan Drake that's not infected. It's I don't know what I've never played it, so there you go.
I haven't either.
So he's running around like Tom Holland doing shit.
I haven't. No, he is not. If anyone should have been cast for that part, it would have been Nathan Fillion. One.
Agreed.
Just saying. Tom Holland is way too young.
Which, by the way, did you see that
Nathan
short?
Drake. No, I didn't.
There is a short with Nathan Fillion as was it Nathan Drake? Yeah.
As God intended.
I'll send it to you. It's actually really good.
And I didn't play Uncharted, but Travis has played the Uncharted games and I've watched a lot of it. So That would be weird to think of Nathan Drake in the infected apocalypse.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I usually call it the fungal apocalypse.
The fungal apocalypse really flows off the tongue, you know.
Well, you could say fungapocalypse if you're really anal.
Fungal.
Now you're thinking of fungus in Uranus. So Thomas says, let's talk about the dumb carousel. He says,
why?
We've seen it already. Do something new.
Fear did it better.
I mean,
Right?
Yes,
it is
jelly
Like
beans.
Lois said, they didn't
Candy.
even go up and down. Ugh.
Oh yeah. Well, some of them didn't. Remember when you were on the carousel and you're like, look at these chumps on the ones that don't even go up and down.
Right?
I
The
imagine that'd be
song-
hard
For
for
the
the
scared
camera work
kids.
though. Because you imagine the camera guys going, fuck this
Well,
shit.
they managed to do it on fucking Fear the Walking Dead fine.
Yeah, because they're pros, man. Anyway, I don't know.
The song that was playing on the carousel is Just Like Heaven by The Cure.
We mentioned that the other night.
It's another 80s song.
Yeah.
I also loved how they did the reflections.
Oh,
Like when they would show would show the girls and they show the reflections, and that was just really
in
cool
the center of the
cinematography.
carousel, right, where it was kind of like a almost like a funhousey mirror because it was so distorted. Yeah, I noticed that too. The what we should have focused on though also is in the knockoff Spirit Halloween shop. The song they're playing obviously is "I Got You, Babe" by Etta James, one of the cassettes that you see in the beginning of the episode. The Aha "Take on Me" also, which was playing throughout them all. But that is a '60s song, if I'm not mistaken, right? Which means all clear, if I'm not mistaken, as the code. Bill and Frank's code.
60s was Nothing New. 70s was new stock.
Right, new
and
stock.
80s was Danger.
Right. No, I'm laughing because I thought it was like all clear, like their love is all clear, and I'm like, but I guess no. I guess their love is nothing new. It's nothing new. Barring.
Well,
No.
it's not. It's the same story that's happened throughout history.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Two people fall in love and they get bitten by mushrooms and die.
Or did they? Okay, so
Yeah, it came out in 1968.
right there you go. Lois says right. The horses didn't even go up and down. She says I've played all the games. Uncharted or The Last of Us.
Uncharted.
I think she means Uncharted. Okay.
She was referring to Uncharted.
Okay. Takir
So-
says I adore Nathan Fillion. Thomas says Last of Us is about 10 times the
Yes.
budget of Fear the Walking Dead. Horses could have moved. Yeah, maybe. But I also think they kept them static because I think it also shows the power dynamic between the two. Like Riley's basically commanding the entire evening. So she's like up there, up top, and Ellie's at the low vantage point. So she's down there. She's kind of like being held captive. She's trusting her with her life. And so a lot of times in film, when you see characters in different perspectives or, you see them bigger on one side and you see the other characters smaller on the other, it actually means that there's a power dynamic as well. So that might be part of it too. And maybe it just means that she's falling for her as well. And maybe she's figuring it out too. You're drunk. Not yet. So there's like, she's still in control of the situation, Riley. So I kind of like that. Thomas says, the episode, nothing new.
Yeah, Thomas made no secret of the fact that this was not his favorite episode. And I'm not gonna say it wasn't good because it was good. It was very good, but it wasn't my favorite either. I feel like it was just so much was devoted to the flashback. I felt like there could have been a little more Joel and Ellie in it, rather than all flashback.
Right.
This is the episode we all knew was coming. Good night.
Good
Put
night.
some pants on.
And
This was the episode we all
And
knew
put
was
some
coming.
pants on.
Ever since Ellie made the comment about what happened to her friend in the mall, like we all knew this episode was coming.
Right.
But I agree with Sharon D. We all know how much I hate an episode that doesn't push the story forward. And this late in the season, we are, scrimping for time here, and I do wish they would have spent a little bit more of the episode in the real time.
Can I interject here? Is it my turn? Is it my turn yet?
Sharondy. I'm kidding. Yeah, of course it is. Because you're going to say something
Okay,
to counter that.
the only reason I want to interject is because this whole thing, this is new to me. I did not know it's because I'm not this far in the game. But this entire episode is almost, not 100%, there's a little bit of differences, but almost a shot-for-shot remake of a DLC that came out in 2014 for the original game.
Right. For those who
Riley
don't know,
was the character. The whole thing was the same way. Ellie and Riley kissed.
The masks are the same, apparently.
They go DLC. Play at the arcade. It's not Mortal Kombat because they didn't have the rights for that.
And also the games didn't work in the game. They were pretending.
In the Last of Us video, right?
And the photo booth does not eject 20-year-old film.
Right, so, right. It actually works in the video game, right? It actually produces film.
No, it did in the show. It does not in the game.
Oh, okay. I thought they had
gave
it for
them
some
a
reason.
picture.
Okay.
Anyway.
By the way, just before we continue, some people might not know what DLC means, and that's downloadable content. So that's all. It's like an extra piece of the game that you download to.
It doesn't usually have anything to do with the main story, but usually it's like an extra you can play.
Sorry.
So it kind of gives you a little bit of foresight. Like, are we at the end of game 1? Is that what they're trying to foreshadow here? I don't know. It was also named Left Behind, so it is exactly the same. So while it doesn't push the story forward, they are being really true to the original content. So I'm not mad about it, but it gave me the tension that I wanted. That's what I mentioned on Sunday, that I finally got the tension that I wanted out of this. And so I'm thankful for that.
Yeah. I think it actually happens to move the story forward in a sense, because what it really gave me a lot of context on is it built a little bit more of the world that we think we may or may not know. Like, who's the bad guy? Who's the good guy? Is FEDRA shitty? In the beginning of the series, you're like, wow, they suck. And the Fireflies are great, even though they're not that great at being Fireflies, at being what they're supposed to be doing. Right from the first episode, they say, we suck at being Fireflies. We haven't been able to do anything. And in this episode, Riley mentions they liberated other QZs, not convinced. And later on, we find out the KCQZ falls, months later. So they're not really good at it. Wait, you're laughing at Thomas right now?
No, I'm laughing at KCQ.
KCQZ. KCQZ.
I know. KCQ's a radio guy.
KCQZ radio. We fell, and we're all getting raped out here. So
that was good. So I think we got answers. We got more. We filled in some blanks with this episode, but it didn't move anything forward. That's
I see what you mean. Like in the real world,
in present time, we're still right where we were at the beginning of the episode.
Imagine you played
stitched up. Apparently,
imagine you played the video game in as it came out, and you had to wait, and that's what you got was that DLC pack with that story. Ooh. And then you have to wait until 2020 for part 2 to come out.
Right, that was
so you had to wait 6 years.
Wow.
6 years from the DLC to the second game.
Wow.
I wouldn't even play. I'd be so pissed I wouldn't even play anymore. I'd be like, fuck that.
So, just to give you a little bit of context.
When part 2 came out, everybody started jizzing until they figured out what the story was. Oh.
We're not going to talk about it.
We're not going to talk about it.
We're not talking about it. We're not talking about it.
Yeah, there's a lot on my notes, but let's keep going. Since we're in the mall, let's talk a little more to combat, because there's some interesting things that are happening in story that you don't realize is happening, and it's not really that crazy great, but the players that they choose are actually also emblematic of who they are as people or as characters. Technically, Riley, you get the impression, is a goof off and encourages Ellie to be kind of a goof off, right? She chooses Melina. She is in the video game, she is one of the most major antagonists in the game. She is relentless, selfish, narcissistic. She charms men with her beauty. She eats the people and spits out the bones. Sometimes eats the bones, etc. So she's that kind of character in the game. I say that one's a little bit more nebulous, but Ellie chooses Raiden in the game, and Raiden is overwhelmingly a character, a good character. He's a lightning god, and he's in charge of Earthworld, basically. Earth Realm, which is basically our world. And so if you really kind of contextualize it, Ellie's got the cure to save the world. And so she chooses a character that is in charge of the world, which got me also thinking that from the first episode, we get the impression that the Fireflies, they want to get the cure and they want to do something with it, right? And FEDRA is awful and they just want to keep us down and oppressed and everything. And something that I kind of said in the beginning 2 episodes was like, it's very important to think about what these two people represent and what they would do if they got the cure. But then I started thinking that within the context of this particular episode, what I like the most about what they gave us is that you're talking about two people who are fighting for what was. I mean, in their own way, the Fireflies are fighting for democracy and free speech and liberty, right? Supposedly, purportedly. And FEDRA's just trying to keep law and order available and making sure that things don't collapse, whatever that even means, right? Meanwhile, you've got the KCQZ being taken down root and stem, and it turns out exactly as Captain Quan said. If it wasn't for us, they would either starve or they would get overrun by infected or something like that. So, but here you have these kids, and they're both being taken advantage of, both of these forces. Kids, child soldiers, right? On both sides. Like, what would either of them do if they got a hold of the cure? And the power of the cure is in Ellie's hands. She is technically what Kwang says, is that you're a leader. You get to decide what happens here with you, essentially. And honestly, it kind of goes back to what we were saying in, I think it was Kin. I think it was the last episode, but it was something to the effect of, oh no, sorry, it was in Endure and Survive. Are people even worth saving? Is the old world worth saving? Are people worth saving? Is the cure that important?
As far as who would do something with the cure, I don't see FEDRA doing anything with their scientific knowledge except making drugs. Like, they don't say anything about FEDRA having a medical or research lab or anything like that. Nothing. It's government. All military and all martial. Whereas the Fireflies, at least, as you can see plainly when we go there, they have medical supplies and are trying to do medical research. That's why they're at biomedical facilities. So, I mean, as far as who's going to do something with the cure, it's going to be the Fireflies way more than FEDRA.
Well, here I put it to you.
Also, if humanity survives, FEDRA has no hold.
Well, I would say
they only succeed because the population is small enough and scared enough to be cowed and kept under lock and key, under chains. Whereas if you have a larger population, and it would, I believe that the way their system runs would eventually like fold in on itself when they're under the weight of itself with too many people in it. Like they couldn't sustain it.
Right. And so,
which also could be why they're just killing people.
Well, wouldn't FEDRA, if given the chance to have a cure, would disseminate it so that they wouldn't have to maintain these QZs anymore as well? I mean, I'm talking about if we're talking about good people. Though. Right. Right.
QZs is what give them the power.
Right.
I mean, I'm all for seeing the other side of it, right? Because like the whole point of the beginning of this episode is to show you that neither group is right.
Right. And that's kind of like
neither one is right. They're both wrong. Somewhere in the middle is where it would actually be correct, right? But like you have two extremes because the world is in an extreme situation. Makes sense.
Or diametrically opposed schools of thought, essentially.
If I were to say, like, I would think, based on the information that we have and what we've seen, that FEDRA would prioritize the people who were more important.
Right, the best
so
of
like
us.
yeah, it's going to be like the people who were doctors and the leaders of the government and stuff like that's who's going to
Kind of
get
like
it.
the Commonwealth,
Yes.
in their medical list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be, it would be exactly the same. Now, I'm not saying it would be any better with the Fireflies because we haven't seen anything to prove that it would be.
However, I feel like the show is angling us, like nudging us little by little, giving us little morsels to say that if the Fireflies got the cure, would they be any better for what they've had to do to get to this point? Like bombing things and not, there's who holds them accountable if civilians get killed, which they have. Tess almost got killed by one of those explosions. And so what Ellie says, fires back to Riley, says you can't, just like you can't control what the Fireflies do with those pipe bombs, so too can't, like, let's say FEDRA. So too can't the Fireflies control necessarily what they do with her cure. Right? And once you have it, well, doesn't absolute power corrupt absolutely? I mean, it's very, very possible that given the chance, the Fireflies might not be as magnanimous as they're painted out to be initially.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'd love to have hope for people, but people overwhelmingly suck.
Yeah.
People.
I hate that.
And we've seen it in everything that we watch. And then also we saw it literally in a pandemic in real life.
Yeah. Given every opportunity, people will inevitably do the wrong thing.
Yep. Well, they'll do whatever's best for themselves.
Whatever's best for themselves.
And that's why I hate this show. Okay. But no, but you're what you guys are saying is absolutely true. And there's no better way or episode to illustrate that than like Endure and Survive and Please Hold On to My Hand. Both those episodes show, like, even just like people themselves acting on their own recognizance. Fuck the Fireflies, fuck FEDRA. They got their freedom. What did they do with it? They just focused on killing 2 kids. That's all they did. When they could have had like infrastructure and all that stuff. And so
that just came down. It came down to bad leadership.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But had Michael still been alive to lead them, then I don't feel like it would have been that way. So it all comes down to the fact that they just had bad leadership at that time.
You know what, though?
Kathleen, she admits exactly that. I'm not the leader that my brother was.
Right.
He begged me to forgive Henry, and she couldn't do it because she's powered by vengeance.
Right. Powered by vengeance.
She's Batman.
Yeah.
She's Batman.
Well, she's like Azrael. Anyway, that's a deep cut. But
the Energizer Bunny.
But also like but I see that's the thing. I'm not quite sure if Michael was in charge. I'm not quite sure that he would be able to hold back that jubilance of having to give FEDRA back what they took from them, like people that they killed.
No, I mean there still would have been that explosion of violence right after the takeover, but they wouldn't have crumbled due to
continue
trying
to
find Henry and Sam. I
agree
think
with that.
What do you mean? They're superhuman.
If Michael had been faced with the pulsing cavern of death in the basement of that building, perhaps he would have done something like move the people somewhere else,
or collapse
where there
the
was
building.
Not a big collapsing puddle of mushrooms underneath them.
Or
she
rock.
couldn't be bothered with that. She had to worry about who Henry was calling on the walkie-talkies.
Right. So you're right. So it wouldn't stop the savagery, but at least they'd still be alive. Most likely, possibly, like, despite everything that they've done. But it still illustrates the point. Like, given the chance, people might do awful things.
It's just like a business. You can ruin the best business in the world with bad management. And that's a fact. That is a fact. Yep. I don't care how good it is. If you have bad management, it will fail.
Yeah. Or if you make it really well, like if you do really well, it probably doesn't matter how badly you do. Like, you have enough money that you can pivot and make people's life a living hell. Eventually people flush up. And we've seen that everywhere.
Well, I mean, that's why when you have a business that has bad management, they can't keep.
They'll never be able to rise above a certain level.
Right. They can't keep consistent employees or standards because they're constantly going through people because they can't keep anybody good.
Yeah. Best case scenario, they survive until they fail. Right? Yeah. Right. Anyway, so let's read some comments because we haven't done that in a while. Takir says, we see that both groups are just using kids. Yeah. Thomas says, I wish my kids weren't offended by my Frozen jokes. They really need to let it go. Thomas says also, why do seagulls fly over the sea? If they flew over the bay, there would be bagels. I had a taser once, he says. It was stunning. I used to hate facial hair.
How do you follow Will Smith in the mud?
Wait, what? Wait, what?
How do you follow Will Smith in the mud?
You get jiggy with it?
You follow the Fresh Prince.
God.
You get jiggy with it, he said.
I said, you get jiggy
you get jiggy with it. Like, that's clearly the only answer to that question.
Anyway.
Get jiggy with it.
That's one of my karaoke songs.
It's great, though, isn't it?
People used to tease me, give it to me now nice and easy, since I moved up like George and Weezy. Like to the maximum, be aximum. Would you like to bounce with a brother that's platinum?
I prefer Miami. That's like one of my favorite songs. Or Summertime.
I also like Miami.
I'm sorry, but if we're gonna talk, if we're gonna sidetrack to Will Smith songs, then it has to be "Parents Don't Understand."
Parents just don't understand. Yep. Taking it.
All right, agree to disagree. Okay. So there's some interesting, like we said about this episode sort of being a reverse mirror of Long Time. One of the interesting facts about Riley's disappearance being 3 weeks is that's about the same amount of time that at that point, or sort of that point, Tommy's been away. Tommy went radio silent. And maybe just like Riley saying, the longer you stay away, the harder it is to come back. That might have been the same for Tommy as well. Like, the longer he stayed away, the harder it was to kind of want to even reach out to I was going to say Rick. Holy shit, Joel.
Wrong franchise.
Yep. But like, I thought that fact was kind of interesting. There's a little kind of interplay here between what's that noise?
Sorry,
I'm wondering too.
I was like, what's that noise?
What?
We get so easily distracted, but like, Ellie and Joel have a parallel. People that they love are away for 3 weeks, but instead of going after Riley, she assumed she was dead. Yeah. You're gone for 3 weeks. You're dead to me, like a teenager. So
that's the world they live in.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, well.
Also, they're teenagers.
Well, I mean,
it's like it's a double whammy.
I mean, what is Ellie gonna do? She thinks she's been gone. She's just gonna go run off in the wilds and look for her. Like, no idea where she's gone or anything. So,
and just like Craig Mazin says at inside the episode episoder insider. Sorry, say it right. I liked his little insight. He said, up until that point, unlike Riley, this is the first time she's ever experienced a loss. So she doesn't know what it means to lose somebody, really. And she's an orphan, but apparently given to the FEDRA Academy by Marlene. Let's just say that. She does also say something interesting about, okay, maybe let's go there. She also says something to the effect of, you don't know everything. She says it twice. Riley says this to Ellie. And now that gets me thinking, do you think that Marlene knew that Ellie was immune from the time she was a baby?
No.
Don't say no too quickly.
Well, I mean, because she could have been bitten, like when her parents died or something.
Right.
She could have been bitten as a baby and survived somehow, like when her parents died.
Exactly.
Like we're talking Harry Potter.
I was gonna say the Harry Potter effect. So they hid her in the FEDRA orphanage or whatever, and let her think she was nobody special. But somebody in FEDRA should have known, because how else were they going to make sure that she was taken care of? It's pretty dangerous to just stick her in a fucking orphanage. If
she was bit as a baby,
plus,
she'd have a scar.
on her forehead in the shape of a lightning bolt.
Oh,
But
the shape of a
also,
mushroom. Are you kidding?
but also, they would have
They're a
tested
little
her
shroom.
with the infected thing at some point throughout her several years of life.
What reason would they
Yeah,
have
I'm
to
sure
do that?
FEDRA would have. Well, they would do it to anyone that.
But
Anyone,
if
imagine,
she's
just as a
healed,
precaution.
then it may not show up.
I'm just thinking out loud here, but there would be no reason for her to be tested instantly. It's like the whole, what is Swati? Yeah, it's like, it's a, what is it? Something in a bank vault? It's like a lockbox in a bank vault she uses, like Althea says to Morgan and crew. For the Walking Dead.
She would have been tested like as soon as she got there. However she arrived there, they would have tested her immediately.
Yeah, and it would have come back infected because it came back infected the last time we saw her get tested.
But what if they didn't? Well, I just thought it was very funny the way Riley says, you don't know everything, as if maybe she was told.
If Marlene knew that Ellie was the cure, why did she leave her locked up in that room by herself and test her every day for however long? If she knew she was the cure, she wouldn't have had her locked up testing her every day.
Wait a minute. So the reason why they would do that is to A, be sure, but B, the reason why Marlene has her in the first place is this happens when we see her in the first episode, right? First episode? Yeah. First episode. This is right after both Riley and Ellie get bit. And so, because Riley doesn't check in, what does Ellie do? First of all, she has to kill her friend eventually, right? Put her down.
Yes. Yeah.
The second, Marlene picks her up and she sees that she's been bit, right? And it looks gross. She's doing this, no, which now we find out what that look ahead thing was from. It wasn't something that new that happened. It was a flashback, like you guys said. So shut up. And so,
I'm guessing if you turn relatively quickly, it's like 24 hours at the most, right? So Ellie and oh my god,
Riley,
thank you. Ellie and Riley, god, they're together. They got bit at the same time, and Riley starts to turn, but Ellie doesn't. So maybe Ellie just stayed in the mall for a few days after to see if she was ever going to change, ever going to turn.
Right. But
until she.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, you crapped out there for a sec. What happened?
He was like, okay.
Thomas, no.
Did Thomas give us bad juju? Because Charity's frozen.
He did.
She left because of what
fault.
Thomas said.
Yep, this is Thomas's fault. The internet's fucking up because of what Thomas just said.
Well, he said a lot of things, though. Well, let's read some of those comments. Thomas says summertime is the best by far. Ergo, why we're best friends. Takira Lawrence says Miami is my daughter's name. It's Miami. I say Miami. Whatever.
Is it Miami or is it Miami?
It's
how does
she spells it M?
No, I see it.
Takira says it's Miami, but David he said Miami.
Yeah,
because he was joking about the way that they sing the song.
Right. But I'm asking if Takira pronounces her daughter's name Miami or Miami.
She's told me. I'm pretty sure it's Miami.
We lost her.
Okay.
Am I right, Takira? Is it Miami? Am I being crazy?
Oh, well, let's move on. Thomas says Sharon is back, and then she
which is ironic because she's not now.
Tommy was working on the docks. That's right. There we go. You know what? It's so hard to not think about that in the last episode too. I'm like, oh, he's working on the docks right now. Anyway, Lois says no. She says no, and she's gonna say no, Dave, no. Thomas says, why would they hold the cure in an orphanage? And I'll tell you why. It makes perfect sense. Because Marlene specifically says they drop off Ellie in FEDRA Academy. Specifically. I mean, you're putting her in the safest place to not worry about having to get tested ever. Because that's...
Who's dropping her off? Who put her there?
Marlene.
From
the Fireflies. She says it to Ellie in the first episode. So, like, if you have to think of the best place to keep the cure... Oh, okay. I thought we lost Rachel for a hot second. Like, if you have to think of the best place...
She didn't like the way that you talked to her.
Right.
She left too.
There you go, Sharon. Hey. Did you get hit by lightning?
It started raining, so
there you go.
Oh.
Well, let me continue the thought after I make sure that you don't leave us again. So let me do that. But yes, if you have to think of the best place to keep the cure in child form, wouldn't it not be a FEDRA Academy? Because you're talking about a place where the kids will never have to get tested ever, because they're in like a bank vault inside of a Haagen-Dazs instead of a Howard Johnson, in which they never have contact with the outside world. That's all they do. They stay inside. They don't even go on patrols.
Why are they in a Hojo?
Just listen to what I'm saying. In the convention, the Hojo, it's not even like a room. It's in the convention part, and it's surrounded. My point is that like she's in the safest place on the planet.
The children are in the East Ballroom.
Inside the QZ. Probably the safest QZ ever. Which is because it's the only one that hasn't fallen yet. So, yeah, I mean, that kind of makes it... Listen, I'm not saying that it's the case, but like all of a sudden it started kind of making sense. And the fact that Riley says it so cryptically to her twice, it's okay that you don't know everything. Like, basically, this is my interpretation, and I don't really even believe it 100% myself, but it's worth throwing out there. Like, Riley knows, but she was told not to tell her. And so it's okay that you don't know everything until Marlene eventually reveals it.
Well, I think that's possible, but I think the first time she said it, she meant in the sense that you haven't been anywhere outside of the FEDRA school. You don't know any fucking thing at all.
Right.
And I think in the second time, it was more because she was talking. I think it was when she was talking about her parents. Like, you've never had anybody to lose, so you don't know everything about losing people. That kind of thing.
And that's okay. It's like, wouldn't it be great if you didn't have to know about loss?
It could also have been like a hint at the like, you don't know everything because I clearly like you.
Yeah, I was thinking that as Sharon was saying what she said. So, yeah. And I thought like, okay, because it's definitely not the mature version of that we say to each other. And that's, well, stop being a weirdo. You don't have to know everything. You could say, I don't know something. You could admit your frailties, but it's definitely not that version of that, because you see later on. They're kids. They're kids, folks. They're kids. They're little children. Okay, so, well, let me see.
I had a really odd thought while they were in the arcade and all the money was laying on the ground. And it made me think of like a casino. And I was just wondering, like, if money doesn't mean anything anymore, would a casino still be exciting? Like, if winning money didn't fucking matter because it wasn't worth anything, would the fun of a casino still be there?
You'd still have the thrill of winning, even if it wasn't money. I mean, it'd still be exciting to, like, hear all the bells and whistles go off on a jackpot machine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, but if I'm not winning anything of monetary, well, no, I like winning. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. I like winning.
It's classic. Yeah, I mean, you have to figure out a way to figure out like an enticement mechanism. Like we've classically done things of this nature in history just for clout. So, and if money is a form of clout, then yeah.
Yeah, but if you tell me, if you sit here and play this game and you win, then you're the winner. Like, that's enough.
I'm still playing. Yeah.
We'll be like, yes, and everybody else sucks, and I'm the best.
Yeah.
Yes.
Game. Yeah. Weren't you like rolling planets into a snowball not too long ago?
Yeah, I was playing Katamari obsessively, mind you.
Rolling planets.
Yeah, we're trying to watch Game of Thrones, and she's rolling worlds into snowballs.
Into a snow. Whoa! Can't see it.
Katamari. It's a Japanese game. You get a sticky ball and you run around and you pick things up to get your ball to be really big so that it's the size of a planet or a star, and then the king of the universe shoots it into the air. Duh.
The Kami-sama?
Duh. And Bridget was the best at it.
It's not that hard to understand.
Is it not when you say it out loud? Anyway, I've heard of this game.
What are screenshots?
Serious question, though?
I love that.
For a joke that came out in latest, Yeah, because it was the second edition, 2003. Screenshots weren't as much a thing in 2003, and that burnt my technician brain, and I didn't even have the fortitude to look it up. Anyway, sorry, I got really weird there. Katamari, right? Anyway.
It's not the same.
No,
That
I
wasn't the
also
same at
wondered
all.
how much. Okay, so this show has had a lot of product placement, like the Doritos sign
Arby's.
in
Yeah.
what episode? The Kansas City episode.
Yeah.
The
So this
CVS,
episode-
the CVS pharmacy sign was very clearly in the background because I was like, I shop
Yeah.
there.
So I actually wrote down all the visible stores that were actual stores.
Right.
Foot Locker. Which, do you guys remember Woolworths? Remember the store Woolworths? That's
Way
Woolworths
back.
became Foot Locker.
Really?
Oh,
I didn't know
Really?
that.
Yeah,
I know
I watched a video about it the other day.
Oh, wow.
That it eventually sold down and became Foot Locker. Okay.
That's insane.
Um,
to me.
Well, because that was one of those stores that was everything to everyone, and because it
Yeah,
had everything.
yeah.
Yeah.
Had everything. Bath and Body Shop, which was obviously not a real store.
Bath and
because
Body
it's
Works.
Bath and
Bath
Body
and
Works.
Body Works.
Oh, okay.
Victoria's Secret. Okay. I'm pretty sure there was a Best Buy sign in the back. If you look in the background of a couple, there is a yellow tag shaped sign that's lit up. The Gap,
Okay, yeah.
CVS,
Yep.
GameStop,
Mm-hmm.
Hallmark, but the H was gone. It was Allmark. Esprit.
Yep. That was a big.
There was a Target sign as they were walking down the hall. There was a Target sign. It didn't say Target, but it was the red background with a white Target on it. Panda Express,
Mm-hmm.
TCBY,
Oh, wow.
I
Subway,
didn't see that one.
Subway, and A&W.
A&W. Yep. Big names.
I did
Oh,
not
it-
see the TCBY.
And the movie,
awesome.
by the way, the movie that they were promoting, the werewolf movie, I forget what it was called.
Werewolf Dawn, Dawn of
Two.
the Werewolf. Yeah,
Right.
Dawn of the
Werewolf was an in-game movie also. It wasn't a real movie at the time. I thought that was kind of a cool port.
It was it's supposed to be a rip on
on
Twilight,
Twilight, right?
the Twilight
yeah.
series. Yeah,
Like a whatever Twilight. But I wanted to actually go back to the arcade games for a second because we were talking about colors and it got me thinking a lot. You really threw a brain nugget that I just ran with, kind of like Katamari. I just kind of took your brain nugget and kept rolling it into planet-sized balls.
You're the worst right now.
In the arcade, I noticed that it's bathed in purple light, but it really is blue light essentially mixed with whatever red is in the ether, and it looks purple on everybody, right? Which is kind of like the symbol of like compromise, or like, well, take a little of this, take a little of that, be something, be the third option. Ellie's wearing red, Riley's wearing blue, and then it got me thinking. When I was a kid, and that's where we would hang out, is the mall and the arcades. Well, the arcade was the best place to settle differences as a kid. Like if you had a beef with a kid and you really wanted to bury the hatchet, like you would go to the arcade, like really hate on each other, like really, really hate on each other. And then like you might become friends by the end of it. What do you mean no?
You and I lived very different lives.
Yeah.
I had that happen
mean,
twice to me for kids
One.
that
I
we
was
barely
not-
remember their
One.
names. But yeah.
we hung out at Spencer's and we hung out at the food court.
Yeah. I loved going to the mall and I spent a lot of time in Claire's. But
Okay.
Same.
I'm a guy. I was
And
a
I-
boy
and I
in the
liked-
80s.
no. I love arcade games. I
Yeah.
was a nerd, dude.
Yeah.
But no. Because
Because girls
malls
suck
no,
also.
because malls didn't really have arcades anymore.
Well, you're also younger than
I
me.
hung out.
Usually
I hung out
our
at the arcade, but I did not settle disputes at the arcade.
No.
That's the other thing, dude. We just fought.
I squashed a lot of beef in the arcades. Well, because I was a nerd. I mean, I didn't play sports. I didn't do any of that stuff. So all the people
But we
that
just fought. You just fought.
well, yeah, we would just
Like, we're
fight
fighting
too.
now.
But if we
Yeah.
if we did have rivals and if they were open to it, we could challenge them to shit, and there would be no beef.
We had dance battles at my
I
school.
just had this vision of Dave and like all his friends, like the Sharks and the Jets in the arcade. Like,
Dave.
Also the roller.
Dave, did you
roller
live
rink.
in that 80s movie? What was that called? With the power glove?
Yeah. Oh, The Wizard. That's one
The
of my
Wizard. Did
Fred
you live
Savage.
in The Wizard?
Yeah. I was the wizard, which is what people used to call me. Yeah. It was kind of funny. But no, it's true. But like, here's the thing. Yes, it would get heated. Yes, it would, but it wouldn't come down to blows, except that one time. Now I'm remembering it because I won a lot and I got a fucking fat lip from a kid who really couldn't handle it. But if that's the worst that can happen, really,
I could see you being the worst winner, so I totally would have.
no. Later on in life,
in the face too.
here's the thing: I would never do that. But like,
in your face.
you want to hear like a real moment? Like, okay, my brother and I grew up playing video games a lot, and I always beat the shit. Like, I just couldn't help but destroy him in games, right? But then I got to a certain age where I kind of stopped, and he would start showing me games, and we'd start playing whatever he had. And like, I got like so sorely, I won so sorely, I threw a controller almost through a window. I got rage quit for the first time in my life, and I'm like thinking to myself, is this how he felt for like 15 years?
Yes,
of his
he
life?
did. Didn't I tell you guys there were bite marks in our controllers from me getting so angry that I like literally bit the Nintendo controllers because I was so angry?
I taught him how to squash his anger. That's it. Anyway. But
no, we all just shoved it down into our ulcers.
Well, so I wanted to.
No one squashed it.
I wanted to continue the
squashed
thought,
it in your stomach.
Imagine though, and I don't know what happened to them all afterwards though, but I keep thinking to myself, like, think of all the things that FEDRA could do to cow the populace or give them something to kind of while away the hours. Wouldn't it be great if the arcade could have been one of those things, or like whatever in the mall, because they already had a 7-Eleven and a Starbucks. And so what if they had more of these things that they could use? Like they said, they're expanding because more mouths to feed. They got to wire up the rest of the block. And so like, wouldn't that like be to their credit, like a way of cowing the public, and they wouldn't have to be as shitty to them. But then this thing happens.
Well, for that matter, why don't they set up movies for everybody?
Yeah, exactly what I'm talking about.
I mean,
you're literally just explaining
Jackson Hole that had movies.
You're just explaining today's society. Like,
yeah.
They just force us to not give a shit by just producing mass amounts of content and being like, you have too many streaming services to watch. You can't worry about what the government's doing. You've got to watch The Last of Us.
Welcome to Libertarian Hour.
I just got a free subscription to Paramount Plus, so I guess I better start to watch it.
I gotta binge all these shows like Star Trek Picard.
I have a lot to do.
And Star Trek Discovery finally, Sharon, to give me your feedback once you start watching it. Hang in there, though. You gotta hang in there.
I don't like Star Trek.
Just fucking do it. Just do
it's
it.
Garbage.
Just do what you love.
I'm not a big Star Trek.
Shut your mouth, Bridget.
So
Star Trek is great. It's just
no, you're right.
I was reminded of my favorite ever movie to take place in a mall, Mallrats.
Oh, I do love that movie, but mine is Dawn of the Dead.
The
original.
When she was on the escalator, all I kept thinking was Jason Lee screaming, "That kid is on the escalator
again!"
For Mallrats
again. Forgot about that. It's so good.
It's a schooner.
Schooner is a sailboat. Idiot.
Stupid Ed.
Kevin Smith
so much.
with money, actually. It's funny. And with, by the way, if you want to throw in this nugget, had Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. No, it was Merle Dixon. Was in that movie.
Yeah.
Remember? Yeah.
Yep.
What was his name? Michael Rooker. Yeah.
He was the guy that was running the
mall, right?
Love show thing. The love show.
Yes.
Really?
Oh yeah, because the chocolate.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because they gave him the pretzels, the butt pretzels.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh, the stink palm.
The
stink palm.
Stank
Yep. Stank palm.
Fucking Jason Lee.
What happened?
Ooh.
Anyway,
you know, he grew up to be Earl. Like,
it all flows together. Well, anyway.
Oh, by the way, for people who don't know, I'm sorry, this has nothing to do with what we're talking about. But for everybody who's seen Dazed and Confused, the guy that plays Rip on Yellowstone was in Dazed and Confused. He was Benny. I kept going, my God, he's so familiar. He looks so familiar.
He's in
Yes.
that? He's in that
dude.
That's weird.
Yes.
This is why everybody should watch Yellowstone. Just watch it. It's so
hell. Good. All right, well.
So good. Forget The Last of Us. Just watch Yellowstone. I'm just kidding. I still want this job that I have to pay for.
Let's go to some comments. Sakira says, you're absolutely right. I'm assuming she means me.
I'm watching Community for the 27th time.
No, I think... So Thomas says, if it were... Oh, okay. Thomas is too soon?
Nope.
No.
Skip that one.
Yeah, it was too soon. It was too soon.
Okay, now Thomas says, was, quote unquote, a nerd, Dave? Was... I'm definitely less of a nerd now than I was then. Gotta say.
That's so embarrassing for you.
I know. It is. With my mom's... with getting hand-me-downs from my cousin, wearing weird clothes as a kid.
Everyone? Was that weird?
What's that?
Is that weird? Did everyone not get hand-me-downs from relatives? I definitely did.
A few, I guess.
Was among folks. Oh, I in the Dark too is
I was the oldest kid, so
Instagram.
I got everything new.
I was the oldest too, but I still got hand-me-downs from my cousins, including toys.
I was the oldest out of
you were
cousins.
Smaller.
It's true. Takira says,
got him.
Malls in New Jersey still had arcades up until I left 5 years ago, which is true.
Get hand-me-downs from Tyrion.
Or maybe hand-me-ups.
Not in your case, friend.
I don't think it matters. It still fits oddly. It's a belly shirt, but who cares? Thomas says,
if I fit into it, I'd wear Tyrion's wardrobe. It's fly as fuck.
Yeah, man. Thomas says, they called you the wizard because when they pulled the curtain back in Oz, the wizard was 3 feet tall.
Oh my God. It's just like burn after burn, dude.
This is your birthday video all over again.
It's just a rose.
Was great. Tom, that was a perfect comment for like continuing the train of burns. The trail of burns.
The escalator again. Oh my God.
This is true. Thomas says Dave is so short he has to go up on women. And I did. Stick that in your brain craw and slurp it. Everybody. So hey, 3 women hosts on the podcast where I just said I would go up on women. Where's Rachel? Oh, is she okay? All right, let's keep going.
I almost just soaked my computer and keyboard.
I have that effect on women.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, what?
Spitting? You make women spit.
No, soaking their... Oh, God, anyway. Low on the...
She left.
The jokes were so bad. Sharon D's computer quit. I must have soaked her keyboard.
Oh my God. I hurt.
Hey, do any of you have to go to the wrath room? I love that line.
The wrath room.
So funny. Okay. I would normally wait until Sharon D came back, but let's read more comments. Rachel is having a stroke, Thomas says. Lois Martin, when you go up. Yeah. When you go up. That's true. Sharon D says you broke my computer, I think. Holy shit. Maybe I did. All right.
I can't get it together. That was too fucking funny.
So, here we go.
She's back. You'd have 300 separate recordings for sharing.
Yeah, tonight. I do. This is not going to be fun. Here we go. Let's pause it. Flip it back, flip it, and reverse it.
I'm sorry, there's no call for that song in this era. That's not on the list.
True. Although I did see a picture of Rome. Are you?
Shh.
Well, I don't care about that. Are you okay?
First the nail file, then she's kicking cups.
Okay.
Dave's gonna have an aneurysm.
First of all, throw that nail file a fucking way. It's not. That is not happening on this podcast.
Sorry, I'm muted.
I just said a thing about fidgeting. Anyway,
I'm muted.
She muted this time.
Okay, anyway, so let's go. So, in Ellie's bedroom, there's a couple of cool things that I happen to find. Oh, are we continuing the theme of just a little girl? Anyway. Oh, God, Thomas, no. So,
Almost.
One of the first things we see Ellie read in her bedroom is the Savage Starlight comic, right? It makes a little comeback. In the back of the comic, there's an interesting word for one of the upcoming comics that it's called neg entropy. It kind of sounds like Negan tropy, but it's NEGNTROPY, which is an old term for what's commonly called now syntropy. And the concept behind that word is negative entropy. Entropy, as we know, is that all systems collapse, all systems devolve or degrade or go to chaos. And I thought it was kind of interesting that the idea of syntropy.
That theme know. That was in a Stephen King novel, so you don't have to be a nerd to know that. Thank you very much. It was in The Stand.
Stephen King's a nerd too, so we're trapped. We're trapped.
I know The Stand, and I don't remember any of this.
Nerd.
The center cannot hold. Everything falls apart.
Yeah,
everything falls apart. Everything collapses in on itself. And that is from when the guy was in the newsroom right before they came in and shot him.
Well, he shot himself, right? The center cannot hold. That's Yates, bitch.
Yeah.
He's a nerd too.
He was.
We're having a nerd off right now.
That's what you people come here for. The nerd off.
I'll own that.
I'm just kidding. I'm literally on a Walking Dead.
Nerds.
I'm literally on a Walking Dead podcast.
Yeah, you're on a Walking Dead podcast.
We're all fucking nerds.
So, children, what is negative entropy? Negative entropy is when systems not normalize, but return to a normal state, or the rate at which things return to a normal state. And I thought that was very interesting that she's reading a comic, or the upcoming comic, where maybe the upcoming comic of her life is possibly measuring the distance between entropy, which is basically what the cordyceps have been up to, bringing the world down one fungus at a time, to maybe her possibly being the force at which that propels humanity forward into a normal state, or what was normal. But it also plays with the theme of FEDRA and also the Fireflies trying to establish what once was considered normal as well. So whether that's a force for good or bad remains to be seen, but so far, whatever. But it's what? What is it? What?
Rachel wants to file her nails so hard. You just see it. You just see it in your face.
This children is called entropy.
It's all falling apart.
The rate at which all things fall apart.
This is why we're dumber after dark. Just remember?
Oh, I haven't forgotten.
Remember? I told you. Make it a theme song and you just play it at the beginning of every episode, and then people know what to expect.
Yes.
Well, no, they know what they came for. They came for the chaos. That's why Thomas always tells punny jokes while we're trying to get our shit together. And he says, he's even like, I can only do so many punny jokes. He says, get it together, Rachel. Thomas says, Rachel has a wet-ass keyboard.
Keep going. Read two more.
Rachel whipping out the nail file made me think of The Last Tango in Paris.
Yeah, that's funny, but read the next
Thomas
one.
says, you've really got to hand it to short people because they usually can't reach it anyway. Sakira says, Lamau. Short people like nice podcasts.
Short people have no reason to live.
It's a pretty brutal song, dude.
You should play Short People by Randy Newman right here.
Yeah, shit.
Okay, Bridget. Good idea.
So, but on the note of syntropy or neg entropy.
Negative entropy.
Right, negentropy.
Negentropy.
I also noticed the fact
Negentropy is the rate at which Negan makes everything fall apart.
right.
Yes.
Or this podcast. If only we had him to blame. But no, so on the theme of that, there's something other cool things that she's mentioned throughout the series is that she's mentioned she wants to go to space. If that's something that she can do after this is all over, she would love to do it. But other things that she's mentioned, and she has paleontology books all over her room, is that weird thing that she loves dinosaurs, but she also wants to go to space. And again, we're playing with things like what once was,
prehistory and far future.
right, and what might be possible, right? These two extremes.
She had pictures of dinosaurs on the wall. She also had a poster for Mission to Mars.
And a paleontology text, I don't know if it's textbook, but the paleontology book on her table too.
Sorry, I can't read my own handwriting.
I was like, something's happening. She's either about to fart because she's like doing this. She's like tilted to one side.
I can't read my own. I'm like trying to read what I fucking wrote, and I don't know what the hell it is.
You saw it too, though, right? Like, what is she about to do? It was...
She had to hold the paper back.
No, I get it. I've been doing that lately too. We're getting old. We used to play arcades in the mall to squash beef.
I gotta hold it way back.
Said no one ever did.
And the roller rink, okay?
Me and my friend had beef. We just went to the arcade. We just squashed it there.
We just smacked it out. We smacked it out on the buttons and the joystick.
If the dance battles didn't work, we took it to the arcade.
No, if the roller skating moves didn't do the job. Short people have. Anyway.
Oh my gosh, do they dance battle with short people?
Yeah, yes. Well, that's the cruelty of the 80s, right? They're like, oh shit, it's a dance battle. Oh, who's this short guy? Wait, guys, let's fuck with him. Let's have him dance battle to short people. And then and then everybody starts laughing and pointing. That's why I chose the arcade to work out my differences.
This fell apart so quickly.
Wait, I want to read one of Thomas's jokes.
Hey, Rach, do you have any insights on this episode?
No, I really don't. Have you noticed I'm just sitting here listening to all of you talk about it? I told you my insights. It didn't move the story, and it was an episode that happened. Cool.
Oh, read Thomas's thing. Yeah, keep going.
Can I get some clarification really quickly, and then we can definitely read Thomas's joke because it was good.
That's a good one.
Was the runner in the American Girl doll store?
Yes, I looked that up.
Yes.
Every story has a star. But why is that kind of cool?
I don't know why. It just cracks me up.
But why is that kind of cool?
That was the same
Why
one.
is some dude creeping in the American Girl doll store?
Hey, man.
I don't know.
This is where it all ends. See, okay.
He saw a bunch of other things laying down on the floor, so he just went in there and laid down with them.
Well, that's the
thought
thing.
there were
Like,
others.
so I have two things to say that when I was watching that scene a third time, because I watched this episode a lot. But when I was taking notes, I was like thinking to myself, like, what if this was just a guy picking up a doll for his kid? You know, and that's how it all went down for him. Like, I know that there was
died right there.
Yeah, like
Way to bring it down, Dave.
Okay,
But,
I have some questions.
But wait, but the answer to like why that's kind of funny is because these fungus, these infected are kind of like animated dolls. There's like kind of they they have no, ideally, I hope they have no soul. And so they're just being animated by the cordyceps. So they're living
Don't tell
dolls.
a little girl that. Okay, I have a couple of questions. So the thing was like all viney, right? He was pretty close to the one that we saw in the first episode.
Right, but the one that was dead, right?
Mm-hmm.
The first one we saw was dead. Yes. This one was still alive, which is why it was able to get up and pull away from the viney things.
Well, I think they told us in the beginning in number 1 in the first episode when they were going in that all the vines around that one were dead, so it had died. Like maybe it got trapped inside and died or something. Because eventually the fungus will kill the host.
You know,
like
yeah,
that does happen.
But,
so this guy hadn't gotten to that point. Like he had the viney things and stuff, but he could get up and get away from that. Like he wasn't.
Okay, so they weren't a part of him. They were just over top of him.
I think they were a part of him.
I think they were a part. They came. I think they grew out of him. Like they were growing out. But
I feel like he didn't have a lot of those things on him when he went after the girls later.
That's what took him so long. He had to cut him off.
Maybe
before he got to him.
Yeah. So you may have answered a question.
Taking forever.
You may have answered a question I've had in my head for a while about like what makes the difference between somebody that survives as long as they do and what doesn't. And it actually brought me back to something that I actually read about the not about cordyceps per se, but about mycelial networks. And that's why you're like fucking nerd with his nerd shit. But like,
no,
hear me out.
That's not it.
Is that yes, fungus, and I wrote this in the blog for, I think, either Infected or a long, long time, but fungus can not only alert other fungus miles away of danger, of predators, right? But it's possible also, and this is actually going to your thing, Rachel, when you said it. I don't know if it was a Zay Frank one. Yeah, it was about the slime molds.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they basically go towards where the food is. And so in my head, if you combine the two things, it's very possible that whereas the one infected in the first episode that Tess and Joel meet in the basement while they're going to the Fireflies stronghold, let's say, is dead, it's probably because it was cut off from the mycelial network, whereas this one is still attached to it. Now, does that mean it'll bring other infected to it? I don't know. But that's why it was able to stay alive as long, because one of the things that we said is that it gets nutrients from the host, but if it can distribute the nutrients among different, the whole fungal network through many host bodies, well, they can survive a lot longer.
I mean, I would feel like he could probably rip away from those vines and then find another patch of vines and lay down in it and become reattached to them and be a part of the group again.
Exactly.
Probably.
If those things are a part of the network, though, wouldn't that be like us, like ripping our hair out? Like if it's a part of him, like why would he want to do that?
But we don't have like a
but the cordyceps are driven alone by the like, I guess you would call it like the primordial need to feed. That's it.
Well, not feed, but spread.
Well, spread. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's to spread. So it wouldn't care because all it's thinking about is I need to spread this to a new host.
Right. And while they go dormant, or like kind of like a lurker, let's say if we want to go to The Walking Dead, when there's nothing to feed off of or nothing to alert them, they just kind of settle down in a mycelial patch and just go to sleep. You know, and hope that the nutrients keep flowing everywhere to keep it alive, like this one, or unlike the one in the basement,
like a spider, lay in your web and wait for a bug to tickle the strings of your web and wake you up.
Only like
I wasn't even sure that it was the same thing because he didn't have the vines all over him. Like I expected him to be dragging the vines behind him, and he didn't.
It's just that you're making me laugh. Like now I'm just imagining it. Like, but they all don't really have the vines behind them. Once they get that spidey sense.
This one was in, but this one was in a viney patch. Like not all of them are intertwined with these things. Like we saw this him,
right,
like with the things.
Yeah, but when
so when he stood up, you'd think they would still be all over him.
When they stepped on the one, remember the one that went after Tess,
the Firefly infected.
Right, they stepped on a patch or whatever, and it woke that one up, and it detached itself and ran. After that, and went after Tess.
In fact, like if you really, really think about it, whoa. Oh, Sharon, you're hitting the mic.
Sorry.
Sorry. So now, actually, it kind of goes back to a conversation you had, Sharon, about the stages of infection, right? Well, let's say, like Tess's son, who could have been a hulking, raging bloater, let's say, right? Because that bloater wasn't connected to the mycelial network. And clickers eventually, if they're not attached to a mycelial network, will turn into clickers because they're not attached to the network, and their body isn't preserved as much because it's drawing all the nutrients from within the human host, let's say. So it's kind of interesting to think that, like, okay, they turn into different stages of infection because the cordyceps is, feeding on the host and hopefully maybe feeding on other materials to make it evolve, let's say. And the fungus keeps growing on top of it, and it gets stronger and stronger until none of the human is left, and you have like a bloater, essentially. Like bones and whatever's left. So maybe that makes the difference. Anyway, everybody's tired. They're like, check, please. Yeah? No? What happened, everybody? Did it get really late?
We laughed too much. It used all our energy.
Oh, so
I need to go lay down in a viney patch.
Until danger. Oh, speaking of, holy shit, I forgot about this one. So when we were talking about Raiden and Melina, so they play with those two characters at first. And some of the things that I read about Melina, I'm like, who cares about that? When you see them playing again and the quarters are almost run out, Ellie chooses Baraka against Melina. And Baraka and Melina are thought of as actual, like, people have put them together as love interests because they're the only two very brutal players. What?
Is that the one with 4 arms, Baraka?
No, he's the one with the knife coming out of the 2 arms, and then also the jagged teeth, just like Melina.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I thought that was interesting because it showed that they kind of belong together, and they have like a little love interest.
What is the name of the guy that Rachel's thinking about?
Oh, that is... No, not Kang. I wrote down the big guy at the end of the game, but Korg, or I forget what it's called.
Oh, that's really gonna bother me now. Anyway, sorry. Unnecessary. Here, let me read some great comments.
Please do.
Oh God, read the joke.
Okay, hold on. I crashed into the back of a car at the lights today. A really short guy got out of it and said, "I'm not happy." And I said, "Well, which one are you then?" That was pretty good.
It took me way too long to get. I had to read that like 3 times before I got it.
If you have to read it 3 times.
I was shocked to read in the papers today that a short person had been pickpocketed. I just thought to myself, how could someone stoop so low? Sometimes when I look at short people, I wonder if they're able to reach their goals.
It's about the only thing we can reach.
Takira just says, ha 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 ha. All I see is Rachel cracking up. And then turn it up 316. Marvel versus Capcom has solved many beefs.
Thank you. I used to play it after school in high school.
So
after I moved to New York.
So Dave has backup here.
That's right. Big spoon.
Then Thomas said, Dave, when you pass away, do you want to be buried in a Nike, Adidas, or Reebok box?
Reebok, obviously, because it's got the pump.
Reebok.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the shoes aren't in there with you.
No, I'll be.
Those are
that. I need cushioning.
I almost said those are BK Ratch Tech, but that was different.
He wants to be buried in a Doc Martens box. It's got more room.
With bouncing souls.
Maybe they're like Teslas, and that's how they charge.
Yeah.
Laying down in the viney patch.
Anyway, so...
I don't know why it sounded so funny.
because it's that
I'm
kind
tired.
of night.
I need my Viney patch. Ew, that sounds gross. The more you say it.
So
I just picture it like laying in moss.
I picture like grapevines, like a vine.
I picture like a pumpkin patch.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
That would be more comfortable.
Some other gourd patch, I suppose. According to, because the pumpkin is a gourd technically.
Cordyceps.
Nerd.
Nicely
nerd.
done. See, I knew the power of nerddom would help.
Spread. It's spread to pumpkins.
A cordyceps.
Okay, so
All right.
yeah, so it's,
All right, that's it. Bye, guys.
no, her computer will do that for her. Yeah, I don't really have anything else. I think I do have like a small thing about like, had Ellie not experienced the loss of Riley, she wouldn't know. She might not even know ever to attach herself to Joel or want to be attached to Joel, or to never give up on Joel. I thought that was kind of interesting that she had to go through this experience to be ready for, like, and it's terrible to have the best day of your life be marred by the worst day of your life, but she does this, and it's the means for her to not give up on Joel at the end. And whether that helps or not is another story entirely, because at the beginning of the episode, when they're panning through the block, and just before they go into the garage and show the horse shaking off the snow, but just before that, you hear infected in the background. You do hear like a little infected roar. If you're wearing headphones, you might hear it better. And I thought that's already pretty shitty. And I think there might be trouble that's outside of Joel dying ahead.
Yeah, Ellie, take better care of your horse because you're still going to have to ride it. I know Joel needs help, but you got to clean your horse. You got to cool your horse down and at least clean the snow off its head.
What do you mean? I can't just leave it in this room?
I was thinking that in the garage. I was like, God, me, the person who doesn't give a shit usually about animals. I'm like, God, that horse has got to be super cold in that cold, unheated garage. I know. And then I thought of Sharon. I said, oh, Sharon would hate this.
She did.
Take care of the horses
Or, okay, so alternatively, embracing my who cares about animals.
I'd rather
roots.
shoot a human.
Like, let's say Joel gets really...
I'd rather kill 10,000 men than shoot another horse.
Right. But, like, if
I've never shot a horse. That's a TV show line, y'all.
If Ellie had to... Well, then we should go back to a reaction video and talk about... Never mind. Like, the van with the candy. Anyway. So...
No.
But, like, I could see Ellie cutting open that horse to keep Joel warm. So, anyway...
It's just like Han and Luke and the Tauntaun.
Yeah.
On Hoth.
We know it works.
And I thought it smelled bad on the outside.
By the way, that would be a 70s reference. So new stock.
Empire
Intestines
Strikes Back was 80s.
Was
Empire Strikes Back was the 80s.
Trouble.
Yeah.
It's trouble. Don't cut open the horse. Please don't.
Please don't cut open the horse.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Dumb thing. Don't care. Okay. Cool. Okay. Thomas says maybe Ellie can attach herself to Joel by a viney patch. Oh, that one. He hated that episode that much that he would make that joke. Thomas says next episode Sharon comes to take care of the horses. Oh, that would be
No,
Sherry.
Sherry.
No,
Sherry,
I choose Sharon.
It's
what I
not
said.
sweet.
That'd be the worst thing.
Is Sherry gonna take care of the horses, or is she gonna take care of the horses?
Yeah. Hi, Dave. Hi, ho. It's off to the podcast. You go. Well, no, actually, remember, it's 45 minutes is better than 2 hours. Anyway, so I think we're gonna call this one a night. If you like what you heard, well, first of all, thank you for joining us. Thank you for hanging in there, Thomas, and Takira.
Thank
for
you
being
for dealing
good
with
sports.
whatever this was.
Yeah. I think it was
so
great.
sorry.
I think we're awesome. Usually the ones that get away from us are just so much better in the end. Even though we don't probably talk about everything we want to. it doesn't really matter. Who gives a shit? You're having fun. You're here to have a good time. And so if you like what you heard, head over to ratethispodcast.com/squawkingdead. 5 stars and Eggplant is all we need to know that you love us. But remember to tell us what you liked, what you didn't like, or what we missed. But remember to tell us after every episode. And if you really like what we're doing, make sure that you head over to either ko-fi.com/squawkingdead or patreon.com/squawkingdead and just follow us there. Take your pick. I prefer Ko-fi. Now, you don't have to buy us a coffee for 30 days of supported back content at Ko-fi, or even right now on this stream. If you like what you're hearing right now, you could buy us a coffee, but don't. You don't have to. Or you don't have to buy a membership tier for as little as $1 a month to get some of these perks in perpetuity. You just have to follow, because when you do, you are aware of any cool and new things that we have coming down the pike. And it just really just shows us that we're doing something right, along with subscribing to our YouTube channel and enabling all notifications, or following and enable notifications on any of your preferred social medias. So when you do that, that's great to do that, please. But if you do decide to buy a membership tier for as little as $1, you will get at least the unedited episode recordings of future recordings. And you'll have instant access to our Discord, where you can get at us at all types of the day and get at us. And that's great, because we have more conversations there than we do on our Ko-fi or Patreon. And we have conversations that we will never have on social media. Boy. And with that, everybody, I've been your host, David Cameo, and I was joined by Cosmom09, Rachel Burt, Sharon D, a.k.a. Blazy Gardner, and Bridget, ko-fi.com/Punky Brewster. That's PUNKYBRUISETER. Good night, Lois. Good night, Takira. Good night, Thomas.
Good night,
Good night, Moon. Good night, Eric.
Good night. Good night, John.
Good night, everybody. Also,
Good night,
Turned Up 316 said, never trust anything that shits and runs at the same time. Just really got me. I don't know who you are, but I like
That's
you.
Eric.
It's Eric.
Oh,
It's Eric.
My bad, Eric.
God.
Sorry. God, sorry, Eric.
Good night, everybody. We'll see you next time. We'll have more short jokes.
Whatever I feel like. Gosh.
Have a good one. Take care, everybody. We'll see you soon. And maybe you'll be, if you join the Whispers or Survivor Series, you could be in a watch party. Oh, this is happening.